the disturbing revelation that ruined our happy family. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. My name signed itself while everyone smiled and clapped. I am Mara, 44, a school registrar who treats signatures like fire. Useful, dangerous, trackable. It was supposed to be a simple check of our family cloud drive before a potluck at the church hall. A PDF titled Family Scholarship opened to page 3, where my e-signature curved in perfect imitation of me. The date was tomorrow. The witnesses were cousins who hadn't spoken to me in months. At the top, a mission statement oozed kindness. Expand opportunity, build dignity, keep care inside the family. At the bottom, clauses knitted into each other. Donor account authorization, emergency proxy for medical decisions, and a cheerful line about streamlining guardianship if needed. Ethan, my husband, loves systems. He labels pantry shelves, vacations, feelings. We finally turned intention into infrastructure, he said, setting a casserole on the counter. Nora, my sister, fussed with paper plates and told me not to overthink. Overthinking is my job. If I misenter a date, a student loses aid. If I misread a name, a diploma is misprinted. I know what small mistakes cost, and this didn't feel small. The stakes were simple math. Our mortgage, our marriage, my relationship with Nora, and the unnamed vulnerable relative the document called beneficiary. I scrolled to properties. Author, Ethan. Location, our storage unit on Route 12. Last modified, 2:11 a.m. yesterday. I thought of Ethan's color-coded calendar, then of the calendar invite I'd dismissed as a joke. Guardianship rehearsal, dress casual. I heard Ellis's voice, our neighbor who teaches IT. Metadata is gossip that never forgets. I closed the laptop and watched the screen throw my reflection back at me, ghosting my own face with the word consent. If my name could sign itself, what else was already decided? Ethan and I built a tidy life out of checklists and casseroles. We hosted Thanksgiving with spreadsheet seating charts. We framed photos from hikes where the sky did all the work. Nora called our place the stable one, which is another way to say we take the brunt of everyone's emergencies. Stability can be a performance if nobody checks the rigging. When we were younger, Ethan's system saved us. He negotiated a medical bill down to pennies. He built a shared drive to track birthdays and car maintenance. I learned to trust his confidence the way you trust a good driver, until the road changes and they don't notice the ice. Last week, over coffee, I flagged a weird tuition letter for a student. A guardianship note with a signature line already filled. Autofill gone wild. Ethan joked, patting my hand. You overthink because you care. Later, at dinner, the joke sharpened. Mara, he said in front of Nora, not everything is a conspiracy. Papers happen. Nora laughed too hard. The way peacemakers laugh, so conflict will walk away embarrassed. We have a vulnerable relative we never name in public. The document called them beneficiary, like a prize. I hate prizes that require silence. The scholarship PDF used language I see in real grants, but twisted toward keep it in the family. Keeping it in the family is how good intentions hide their receipts. In the hallway mirror, I practiced a neutral face for the potluck, the one that says I'm listening while my brain runs a spelling bee for danger. Neutrality felt like camouflage, and someone else chose the forest. Oddities landed like junk mail, boring until you add them up. A duplicate receipt from the credit union appeared in our shared folder with the memo line, donor loop. A Google Calendar invite titled Guardianship Rehearsal blocked out Sunday afternoon at the church hall, with a dress code and light refreshments provided by Nora. A cloud folder suddenly renamed itself at 2:11 a.m. from family media to archive, beneficiary. I told myself that families consolidate files all the time. Then I clicked a JPEG. A photo of us handing a giant novelty check to the beneficiary. Except the beneficiary's face was blurred, and my blazer had the wrong buttons. Ellis taught me about EXIF metadata last summer. The photo was edited yesterday. The original timestamp was 3 years ago. The GPS tag said Route 12 storage, Unit C. Ethan breezed through the kitchen with a package of name tags. You'll love the program flow, he said. Tight, kind, efficient. He kissed my cheek like an applause sign. I reopened the PDF and squinted at a footnote. Emergency proxy activates upon incapacity as determined by family council vote. Our family does not have a council. We have group texts and grudges. At my registrar desk, I compared the PDF's notary block to real samples. The font spacing felt anticipatory, like it expected our pens to arrive. Anticipation looks like kindness until you notice the chair's already reserved. Escalation came with a smile from the bank clerk. Can you confirm donor account 4176 linked to your address? She asked, tapping her screen. The account name, Mara Family Scholarship. I felt my mouth move before my mind caught up. Please print the authorization page, I said. At home, Ethan was plating olives like evidence of hospitality. I held up the printout. Why is our address on a donor account? He didn't miss a beat. Because donors need addresses. It's a routing form. You're spiraling. Then why does the notary block say tomorrow? I asked. He smiled, patient, benevolent. Streamlining. The notary is a cousin. They're excited. Nora texted, don't ruin this. We finally have something good. My sister has always treated calm as currency. She spends mine liberally and saves hers for emergencies she recognizes. I checked the file properties again. Author, Ethan. Subauthor, Nora. Modified, 2:11 a.m.m. Comment. Remove external oversight language per meeting. Oversight is the word that separates care from capture. That night, I sat at the kitchen table and wrote 3 columns on a yellow pad. What I know. What I can prove. What I fear. Under fear, I wrote losing the people I'm trying to protect. Protection without proof becomes control wearing my face and voice. Ellis knocked while Nora arranged forks by color, as if coordination could keep panic from remembering our address. If this is nothing, he said, lifting his reading glasses like a key, I'll say so. If it's something, metadata will confess. We settled in my home office, the printer still warm from church recipes. I opened the PDF. He opened the properties pane like a careful mechanic listening for a rattle you only hear under load. Author string, he murmured, tracks back to Ethan's laptop name. Creation Friday, revision Sunday, Monday, and this morning. Nora hovered, twisting a napkin into a rope. It's just a family scholarship, she said, voice thin as tracing paper. We can't trust outsiders with our own. Outsiders are the ones with audits, Ellis said. Trust without verification is worship. He clicked a hidden layer. A faint rectangle brightened, then resolved into my e-signature, Mar_E, saved as a reusable object. Drag, drop, stamp, he said quietly, like reading last rites for consent. My stomach sank the way elevators pretend to fall. I zoomed into the notary block. The kerning breathed forward, anticipating ink before ink existed. Why would the witnesses already be selected? I asked. Nora flinched. Because people are busy, she said. Ethan streamlines. My phone pinged. Calendar reminder. Guardianship rehearsal in 3 hours. Church hall. Dress casual. Light refreshments by Nora. Beneath, another ping. A cloud rename. Family media to archive. Beneficiary. 2:11 a.m. I pictured our storage unit like a quiet accomplice. Boxes stacked into alibis. Ellis traced the comment thread. Capacity letter, trigger, council vote. We do not have a council. We have group chats that lose momentum and birthdays that land on weekdays. What are you trying to protect? Nora whispered. I wanted to say the beneficiary, my marriage, and my name from becoming a policy I never agreed to. I stared until the words went abstract, until dignity looked like dig in, tidy. A command disguised as kindness. From the kitchen, Ethan's playlist swelled with cheerful brass, as if trumpets could notarize hope. The timer on the oven beeped. Please, Nora said, eyes shiny. Don't humiliate him. He fixes things. We finally look organized. Organization is a flattering mirror. It never shows the mess behind the frame. Ellis unplugged the drive and squeezed my shoulder. If it's clean, we'll bless it, he said. But if it isn't, paper will tell on people like it always does. If I attended quietly, silence would notarize what kindness tried to hide. I needed a fact that didn't care about anyone's feelings. On Route 12, our storage facility hunched against winter, rows of doors blinking the same indifferent green. Unit C smelled like dust and unslept holidays. Between the boxes, a folding table, a ring light, a foam board check with our family in comic bubbles, a cloth backdrop the exact color of a social media hug, a crate labeled archive, beneficiary-held binders, pledge forms, testimonial scripts, a run of show with applause cues underlined twice. In the third binder, I found a templated capacity assessment and signed with blanks for dates, provider, diagnosis. I have seen real capacity letters. They arrive stained with waiting rooms and quiet. I photographed everything, angles and timestamps, then emailed the photos to myself and to a private folder Ellis made me label breadcrumbs. Backups are seatbelts, he says, and you drive better when buckled. On my phone, I reopened the scholarship PDF. Properties still reading location, Route 12 storage. Author, Ethan, subauthor, Nora, modified, 2:11 a.m. Even the metadata sounded like footsteps rehearsing the story they wanted us to hear. My hands shook, not from fear, but from the unnatural tidiness of it. How each page left exactly enough room for applause. A plastic tote yielded props, a graduation cap, a cardigan, a clipboard, all tagged with masking tape. Reveal night. Pass tomorrow, one note read, as if my role had been cast before I auditioned. Outside, traffic hissed on wet pavement, the world doing its normal errands while my family set a stage. I remembered the potluck starting soon, name tags curling, coffee percolating, Nora's relief at a room that finally looked like a plan. People love plans like weather loves fronts. Changeable, dramatic, easy to blame. I locked the unit, then stood very still, listening for the small click of certainty landing in my chest. It didn't. Certainty doesn't click. It accumulates like snow, quiet, relentless, reshaping roofs when nobody's watching. I texted Ellis, have audit log. Proceed? He sent back a thumbs up and a tiny lighthouse. I put the phone in my pocket, felt its rectangular heartbeat, and practiced sentences that would not apologize for insisting on daylight. I locked the unit knowing truth prefers daylight and witnesses, not applause. Ellis met me at the credit union, where fluorescent lights make every promise look sober. Devin, the fraud prevention specialist, studied the screen, lips pressed flat. Loop backs to a shell under Ethan's LLC, he said softly. Funds travel donor shell scholarship expenses, then back. Circular gifts make straight faces. He printed a transaction tree that branched like a polite lie, each twig labeled with a date and memo line. Wellness, community, capacity. I slid the paper into a manila folder as if warmth could muffle sharp edges. At the county clerk's window, a notary with lavender nails lifted her stamp like a gavel. You cannot predate notarization, she said. If someone does, file this. She pushed a form toward me with the same efficiency I used to fix graduation names. Quiet, firm, unafraid of being boring. Boring keeps people safe more often than charisma does. Back home, Ellis mirrored the cloud drive to a clean laptop. Version history unspooled like a black box recording. Rename at 2:11 a.m. Stage photo added yesterday. Comment thread reading, blur face until reveal night. Council vote precedes outside paperwork. Avoid agencies. They stall momentum. He opened a hidden tab. Guardianship rollout. Bullet points. Testimony from grateful aunt. Applause on cue. Ceremonial signature. Tomorrow notary. He didn't look at me when he said, scripts don't require consent. They require cast members. Nora called. Please don't humiliate Ethan, she whispered. He fixes things. He made it look beautiful. I thought about how danger often wears pretty lighting. Beauty isn't a contract, I said. It's a filter. I printed the transaction tree again and tucked it behind an old casserole card, because some forms need to be close to the heart to stay real. A draft from the kitchen carried cinnamon and nerves. The timer chimed. The room looked like hospitality. The paper looked like custody. I stared until both could be true without canceling each other. Every breadcrumb pointed inward, toward a kindness shaped exactly like a cage. The mini twist sat quiet in a subfolder named Forms, Beneficiary, a backdated medical/guardianship packet that placed me as interim proxy and Ethan as primary family council chair. It bundled emergency consent, access to educational and medical records, and an innocuous-sounding clause, donor-authorized redirection of assets for wellness. That line tasted metallic in my mouth, the way a coin does when you bite it to test if it's real. I printed page 1, then carried it to the sink and simply held it, because sometimes paper feels combustible and water reminds you of choices. My phone buzzed. Nora, if you love them, you'll sign. Outsiders fail us. Outsiders file audits. I typed, then deleted, then typed again. Insiders file memory. Ethan came home early, cheeks ruddy from praise he hadn't earned yet. Dress nice, he said, kissing the air near my forehead. We'll do the announcement after dessert. Did you read my remarks? They're heartfelt but concise. People hate long speeches. He reached for my hand. I let gravity win instead. Pride without consent is pageantry, I said. He let go, and the room felt wider, colder. In my mind, I walked the courthouse hallway. Neutral carpet, neutral chairs, a clock that didn't care if we smiled. I pictured Alvarez, the social worker, explaining scaffolds versus thrones. I pictured Devon's calm finger following the money as if it were a river that always flows downhill to the same lake. Control. I put the page back in the printer tray so the house could see itself. Good rooms change when you show them who lives there. The oven beeped. Ethan called, 10 minutes, and I answered, coming. Because even rebels make sure casseroles don't burn. I knew the plan. I still didn't know their best excuse for it. I built my counterplan the way I build schedules. Columns, redundancies, no heroics. Column 1, proof, screen record the cloud version history. Export audit logs. Capture the notary block that believes in tomorrow. Photograph the ring light, the foam board check, the binder tabs. Print the capacity, template with the blank where a doctor's name belongs. Column 2, professionals. Ask social worker Alvarez to translate fury into policy. Ask Devon to explain loopbacks in neutral terms. Ask Ellis to run the projector so nobody can pretend the screen misbehaved alone. Column 3. Witnesses who love truth more than harmony. Aunt Ruth, who folds chairs and never folds when it counts. At the bottom, I wrote one narrow question. What happens if I say nothing and this becomes our family forever? The answer lived in my throat like a splinter. I texted Alvarez, neutral venue? She replied, county building, mediation room. Reading aloud slows bad ideas. I drafted a calendar invite for Ethan and Nora. Documents will be read aloud. Edits explained on screen. Time-boxed questions, no shaming. Ritual turns fights into meetings, and meetings end. I packed place cards, granola bars, tissues, and a pen that clicks loudly enough to wake sleeping doubt. Ellis printed backups, then backed up the backups. Devon confirmed he could speak in general without naming accounts. Alvarez prepared a one-page flowchart labeled real consent, assessment, documentation, oversight, opt-out. I slid everything into a blue folder because blue looks like sky, and sky reminds me that rooms are not prisons unless we bolt them. If they refused the room, I would read the receipts in the hallway. Ethan preempted me with theater. Family summit, he announced, arranging chairs in the church hall while fairy lights practiced absolution. He pressed a ribbon microphone into my hands. Let's keep the energy positive. We don't need bureaucracy to love our own. Nora squeezed my elbow hard enough to make a promise out of pain. Please, Mara, don't make this ugly. Ethan's speech poured like warm syrup. Community resilience, dignity, the beauty of internal care. He thanked me for my administrative gifts and said I would anchor the process, a compliment shaped like a leash. Behind him, a slideshow flicked through smiling faces and blurred pixels where the beneficiary lived like a rumor. Ellis leaned in. Slide 3 EXIF says yesterday. Caption claims 4 years ago. The audience sighed at the right places. My heartbeat climbed ladders. Ethan held out a pen. Just sign the ceremonial copy tonight, he coaxed. We'll notarize tomorrow. Streamline. I watched my hand shake, heavy with the desire to keep warmth in the room, to keep Nora's smile from breaking, to give the beneficiary care that didn't stitch strings through their skin. But warmth is not a firewall. It's a candle near curtains. I lifted the mic. County building, mediation room. In 1 hour, I said, voice steadier than my knees. We will read every page aloud. A murmur moved through the chairs like wind, deciding whether to become weather. Ethan's mouth kept its shape, but not its kindness. We don't need outsiders to bless family choices, he said. We bless ourselves. For a breath, I believed warmth could replace proof and safeguards. The mediation room smelled faintly of copier toner and floor wax, the kind of neutrality that makes you feel every sound. A rectangular table waited under fluorescent lights, and the carpet's gray weave looked designed to forgive dirt and shoes equally. Ellis wheeled in the projector with the kind of reverence usually reserved for altars. Alvarez laid out a pad of paper, drawing a simple flowchart that reduced complicated law into 4 boxes and 3 arrows. Who signs? Who verifies? Who oversees? Who can say no? Devin placed a neat stack of pamphlets about donor fraud at each chair, the titles quiet but pointed. Ethan walked in like a politician, shoulders back, smile set. Nora trailed behind, twisting a napkin she'd grabbed from the lobby dispenser. I sat opposite Ethan, feeling the pulse in my throat. Alvarez opened calmly. We'll begin with authorship. Ellis pulled up the PDF properties on the projector. Author, Ethan. Subauthor, Nora. Modified, Sunday, Monday, and today. Location, Route 12 storage. The words looked enormous, undeniable. Ethan chuckled. Technicalities. Families don't need authorship credits. Ellis hovered the cursor over a layer named Mar_E. A rectangle lit up. My reusable signature dropped in like a sticker. Gasps flickered through the small audience of witnesses I'd invited. Nora's knuckles whitened around her napkin. Devin traced the loop of transactions. Donor Shell Company Scholarship, Ethan's, LLC. Circular flows mimic generosity but disguise diversion, he said. Ethan tried to interject, but Alvarez raised a hand. We'll let the record speak first. When I read aloud the guardianship clause, family council vote, instead of physician certification, the silence cracked. That isn't care, Alvarez said evenly, tapping her pen. That's convenience wearing a cardigan. A nervous laugh escaped someone in the back, then died. Ethan's smile wavered. The projector's hum filled the room, a mechanical witness to manipulation. Nora's face crumpled when she realized the cardigan had my buttons. Alvarez leaned forward, asking Ethan directly, "Why did you prepare this guardianship packet?" He folded his arms, jaw tight. Efficiency. The beneficiary resists help. This lets us move quickly without red tape. His words sounded polished, but Ellis clicked through the audit log, projecting every revision. The capacity letter toggling from blank to filled to blank again in minutes. No provider signature, no license number, no stamp. The hollow structure was louder than any excuse. Devin explained gently. In legitimate charities, donations move outward. Here, funds circle back. The loop itself is a red flag. Nora's voice shook. We only wanted to keep them safe. My chest clenched. Safety without consent is just custody. My own voice startled me. Firm, edged with steel I hadn't known I carried. Ethan snapped, mask slipping. You care more about rules than people. Alvarez remained calm. Rules prevent ownership. Guardianship is scaffolding, not a throne. What you built is a throne draped in paperwork. Ellis magnified my forged e-signature until it spanned the wall. Alvarez circled the notary block, dated tomorrow. Predating notarization is sanctionable, she said. Murmurs rustled through the room like dry leaves. Nora stared at her hands as if they might hold excuses. We meant well, she whispered. Alvarez nodded. Meaning well is step 1. Steps 2 and 3 are verification and consent. Without them, meaning well is just decoration. Ethan finally blurted the truth. If we look messy, no one will donate. People trust tidy stories. The words hung heavy, revealing the motive beneath the systems. The hall seemed to inhale with us, the weight of realization pressing on every rib. Control and optics had always been the point. Love was just the costume. After the reveal, fallout moved faster than forgiveness. The bank froze the suspicious account within hours. Devin filed a formal memo, attaching the transaction tree that made generosity look like laundering. The county clerk opened an inquiry into the notary who allowed a future date to be stamped. Alvarez initiated a safeguard plan for the beneficiary through proper agencies. Intake interviews, background checks, after-hours contacts. It was unglamorous, bureaucratic, and utterly real. Everything Ethan had tried to avoid with glittering shortcuts. At home, Ethan relocated to the guest room, narrating himself as a martyr. Misunderstood, visionary, obstructed by nitpickers. I overheard him telling Nora on the phone. She didn't argue, only sighed. Then she stopped answering me altogether for 2 days, finally sending a heart emoji without words. That's how peacemakers apologize, by offering symbols instead of sentences. Work became both a refuge and a mirror. I double-checked transcripts until my eyes blurred, caught typos no one else would have noticed, drank cold coffee that tasted like vigilance. Students asked for forms, and I stamped them, grateful for the honesty of a simple request. Nights, I filed screenshots, receipts, and backups into a folder labeled after. Mornings, I missed Ethan's competence with lists even as I resented the cruelty beneath it. Both emotions gnawed at me like roommates who refused chores. Ellis dropped by with a flash drive and clementines. "Your brain needs vitamin C and clean copies," he said kindly. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where the scholarship PDF had lied to me. I signed my name on a blank sheet just to remember what real consent felt like. Slow, intentional, weighted. My hand hesitated, then completed the arc. Consent should ache slightly. That's how you know it's yours. I wondered what we would become once the paperwork finally stopped talking. Healing didn't arrive like a revelation. It came disguised as routine. Therapy at 8, laundry at 9, paperwork at 10. Alvarez guided us through legitimate processes. Audits scheduled, signatures verified by third parties, opt-outs respected without complaint. We wrote house rules on an index card and taped it inside the cupboard with mugs. No signatures without independent review. No funds without external oversight. If secrecy is required, the answer is no. The card looked humble but heavier than any staged prop. Nora visited with soup, apology braided into steam. "I was terrified of scandal," she confessed. "Scandal is loud." I answered, "Quiet harm hides better." We stood in silence, both realizing how fear had nearly turned love into control. Later, I cleaned the living room of its remnants. The foam board check shoved into recycling, the backdrop folded into an unremarkable sheet. I snapped a photo of the empty corner as proof that rooms can be reset, staged lies replaced by genuine emptiness. At night, dreams replayed the storage unit, but with the lights off and chairs folded away. Mornings tasted like Tuesday again. Pancakes, unpaid bills, the neighbor's dog barking trust back into the world. Ellis texted a boring spreadsheet of upcoming audit dates. For the first time, boredom made me smile. Predictability had become my life jacket. I repaired the wobbly leg of a kitchen chair, then cried unexpectedly. Steadiness was the plot twist I hadn't seen coming, and it deserved tears. Boundaries felt like furniture finally arranged so nobody trips in the dark. Reflection settled like quiet fog, no longer a retreat, but a landscape. In the church hall, volunteers folded tables with the choreography of people who know endings. I stood in the corner, remembering how paperwork had nearly transformed love into leverage, how easily family had become a mask for power. Gentle is not the same as good. Tidy is not the same as true. If someone hands you a document promising dignity while demanding secrecy, read the properties. Ask who authored it, when, and why. A notary already knows tomorrow. Ask who gains if consent is rushed, and whether care survives your refusal. Good systems survive no. Say it aloud in rooms that expect applause. Invite a clock and a witness. Together they make lies shiver. I realized love is not the opposite of oversight. Love is oversight with a chair pulled out, with a pen that waits, with signatures that bruise slightly from honesty. Love is a donor line that doesn't loop back to anyone's ego. Love is a guardianship that behaves like scaffolding, temporary, visible, and removable when the structure stands steady. At home, I printed our rules again and tucked copies into the drawer with batteries and flashlights, the place we reach when things go dark. Every morning, I open the cupboard for a mug and see the card waiting, reminding me that dignity requires both warmth and boundaries. I pour coffee, steady hands holding an ordinary cup, grateful that truth stayed louder than pageantry. Hope felt like paperwork finally spelling my name with unambiguous permission.